very few times in your career here where two losses has turned into three. I mean, you got to go back to your first year here to find that happening. You keep preaching the bounce back, and are you seeing it? How close are you seeing your players to being there?
Well, I don't think there's any question we could have won the football game last week, but we needed to execute at the end of the game or have something happen earlier on. But, you know, when you've coached for a long time, and I have, you've hit all the spectrums. We've won the championships, been in national championships, won those, been on the other side of things too. So you learn how to handle it and understand that, you know, you try and rationalize a little bit and put things in reality, in perspective, I guess is a better way to say it, and try and figure out a way. So this game is a game of football, I think, is really probably the ultimate team game. Decision making done by coaches, structural things, you know. Then you got to play the game and you got to execute the game. You got different facets of position groups, all these different people that are playing in the game, and it's all got to come to a head and work. So that's our job. But at the end of the day, you know, I've always said, hey, you got to do the best you can. You got to play hard, and we have played hard, and we will continue to play hard. So, got to make better decisions as coaches. Got to make better decisions as players. Got to make plays on the field. Sometimes you fall into place. Sometimes you fall out of place. But regardless of what happens, you know, we've all got to be together on what happens and be a team. So, and that has occurred. So, I'm good. I can handle it. I'll be all right.
You made an interesting comment about being born on third and understanding the process. Is that the next evolution of a program, though, is when you build kind of from where you came from and get to the top, you get to that playoff, and now it's reminding these young players, these instant gratification guy, you know, the way that society has gone, that, hey, work is still needed to be where we want to be.
Everybody comes here with high expectations. I have high expectations and high goals. You know, 2013, we're sitting right like where we are right now, except we'd lost one game. Hadn't played very well, and all of a sudden things took off. You know, 14 and 15, you know, you can make a case for, you know, won a lot of close games and people questioning us along the way, and, you know, but we just kept winning. So things hinge on the smallest of details between winning and losing. And what we have to do is understand that. Sometimes young players don't quite get that. They think that because they're here and they've arrived, it's their opportunity to play is now, and that especially when they are playing, that the attention to detail sometimes may suffer because of the knowledge base. They just don't know. And so they have to learn. And there's a difference between practice, and there's a difference between scrimmages, and then scrimmages in the stadium, as opposed to spring games and then game time. Because game time, it's sort of a life struggle out there. I'm not going to say it's a life and death struggle, but it's a life struggle because it's like things are coming much faster. The responsibilities and the attention to detail has to be much greater, and the circumstances and the results become much bigger. So, you know, they got to learn. That's the only way they learn is by playing. So you want to play a young player and you want to get them in there. Well, when you do that, there are consequences with that. Woody Hayes used to say, for every freshman that you played, you took a loss. So there are consequences that come with playing young players a lot. I'm not saying we're not going to do that. We are. But, you know, 4 or 5 guys, you know, it's just the way it goes. You know, like I said, a wide receiver doesn't run the route at the correct depth. It affects everything. If an offensive lineman who's playing as a redshirt freshman, he might not understand the things that certainly a guy who's 4 years older than he has experienced. So that's all inclusive across the board. That's, you know, you can see Josh King, our defensive end, growing. He's growing not just physically, but he's growing in terms of the way he's playing football almost weekly. He's going to be a tremendous football player for us, but he's a true freshman.
2-3 record-wise, 2-2 record-wise. Both teams could possibly be the other way if some things go differently. Is BYU one of the most dangerous 2-3 teams? They, you know, remind me of how many close losses you guys had back in 2000.
Well, they played a great schedule. You know, they played UCLA, they played Utah, they played West Virginia, Toledo, and Arizona. So they played a very, very good schedule. And so they expect to play against good people. And I think there'll be a confident group coming in here, and should be a great football game. Be another challenge. They're all challenges. You show me a football team that's not a challenge.
To challenge them, to make them things more difficult for them, usually you guys have had more pressure from the front four. I know the Malik targeting thing will keep him out of the first half, but how are you guys evaluating getting more pressure on the quarterback, whereas not just abandoning your backside?
Yeah. Well, every week, you know, you look at what you do third down wise, and you evaluate that, and you have a self-scout. You scout your opponents certainly, but you also scout yourself, and you self-scout yourself. Ask yourself, we asking the right player to do the right thing? Is this player being productive or not? Are we doing the right thing schematically? What's the timing of things? What route do they have on versus that? Or what play do they have on versus what we're doing? Do they have the right play on, or do they not? So there's a lot of things to look at, and we'll continue to look at we're getting them in third and long.
Yeah.
So we just got to get off the field. Sometimes things happen, I guess, but I think our players need to play confidently, and we need to always take a look at what we're doing and how we're doing it, and we're always analyzing it and evaluating it, whether it's been successful or not. But we've been in the habit of having 35 sacks or 42 sacks in a year, or whatever it's been. So that's quite a change. But you go back and you say, every game is a game-to-game thing. So all I can tell you is when we line up and kick off, there's 15 minutes in the first quarter, and there'll be 4 of those. And whatever we do in those quarters, we have to own up to. We can't collectively say, okay, this is who we are now. We have to play every single game and say, this is who we were last game. This is how we were last game. How are we going to be the next game? And that's the reality of the situation.